we scaled this app to $50 million in 10 months and $3 million in one single month, all from Meta Ads. And that's just the first purchase, not even counting subscription. In this video, I'll break down the exact funnel, strategy, and creative system that we use to scale apps up to $50 million a year. We manage ad accounts across multiple apps doing between $1 million and $50 million a year. So everything here is based on what we see working right now and not theory. So in this video, I cover the lessons from scaling an app with a quiz funnel to $3 million a month, and how to build the perfect app funnel from the ads to the quiz, the unique mechanism, the upsells you can use, and how to have a 180 days or longer LTV. You can use also different funnels. We have apps also with just install goals or free trials, but the quiz funnel is the one that we see working the best right now. Also some ads examples and the importance of the psychology behind the ads, especially for app businesses, the creative strategy that we use, and the ads that are working for us right now, and how to scale an app to 8 figures. So this is based on what we see working. We can't share the exact business name, the exact ads, so I'll just take the learnings and our strategy and show it to you. Here you can see also some of our ads for a client. Now our ads all have a different naming structure, but these are some from last year where we still the owner still used my name, so you can see some of the results here and how much they generated. So in my opinion, the main levers you have to scale an app are: one, the offer. So you want to make sure that how you position your app, your solution to the audience is that's one of the most important things, making sure it's you position that better than the competitors. Then you want to make sure that you can have very high, especially LTV. Like if you can have a very high LTV, that's gonna allow you to scale this. The thing is, if you have a high LTV but it takes you 1 year to get that, you're spending more than what you're getting the first month, then it's gonna be a bit difficult to scale fast. So it's important ideally that you have a high average order value, or at least you get a very high amount of money in the first month so you can get credit and spend more in ad. Otherwise, if you have a very high LTV in 1 year, you're gonna have to get some funding to scale. Something you have to consider in general, you want to make sure you can pay a lot for that CPA on Meta, and yeah, you can try to spend less, but at a certain point you are gonna have to spend a lot and have a very high CPA if you want to scale to $10 million, $50 million a year. Then the quiz, so you can have several type of funnels. You don't have to have a quiz. So we also have clients just have cost per install goals, or they have a free trial with credit card. So you can have different funnels. What we see working best right now for apps is a quiz. That's normally the funnel that allow you to get the highest AOV and LTV. The other thing is doing upsell. Like a lot of businesses don't use upsells, and for like a lot of apps only have that app and that's all. Like they don't have anything else in the ecosystem. As you scale, you're gonna see that your CPA is also gonna increase because you get to more and more audience. You have to convince them, and you start to have more competitors, and so you want to have more upsells to increase the your average order value when people buy. Then we're gonna look at the creatives. And the creatives are one of the most important part. When you have the right funnel, the right positioning, and when it starts to work, the creatives are going to be the main difference to really scale. When the quiz, like the rest of the funnel is taken care of, it's already working. And you need a process to create a lot of ads and a lot of winning. So how apps are different compared to other type of businesses on Meta? So for apps, you don't have a physical product, right? So it's very important to understand the psychology behind why people buy. And you have to create the perceived transformation just through messaging. And you have to make them visualize how they'll be in their future version after using the app. So you have to understand very well their emotions, their cognitive triggers, self-perception, so the type of person they want to be. And that's why a lot of apps have a lot of different ads. They use psychological doors, let's say, like procrastination, ADHD, anxiety, dopamine, like all of these. And you try to get something that triggers you to understand, to want to understand more about your problem, and then introduce their unique mechanism. And yeah, in general, I'm making ads for apps, like for most apps. Like obviously, like there are some apps that are different, like games, and there are different niche, but especially for the ones that are more direct response, they really, like, that really test how good you are with direct response, because you don't have a physical product, you just have to work with the psychology. So as the messaging is very important, you need to focus on understanding the right angle to use, the right format, so how you're communicating that message, what type of ad you use, and then also the right funnel. So normally, depending on different buyer personas, we see that different formats can work well. And so you have those like formats work well for Gen Z, or for like younger audiences, like memes, POVs, or like also like some ads with fast edits. Then you have some like in general for problem-aware audiences, especially older, direct response formats can work well. I'll show you some examples later. And in general, for older audiences, so at least 45 years old, or 50, 60 years old, or even older, just video sales letters work pretty well. And for younger audiences, I'll show you some examples also of just identity content that can work pretty well, and just leveraging the identity that a person has. And then I see two main strategies that are working for us. So one is try to sell the app. The less direct response and less saturated the app is, the easier it is to just sell it, and just have a video 30 seconds to 1 minute, and you just explain why this is good and why they need it, or you just explain the problem and the solution, or you compare it to different alternatives. Then the other option is to sell the mechanism. You can have like some clickbait videos or images that just send to the quiz. That's also an option. Or you can sell the mechanism. So basically you have a video, maybe still like 30 seconds, 1 minute, even multiple minutes, like even 3-4 minutes video, but you just talk about the mechanism. So you just educate them about why they have that problem and how to solve it with this mechanism. But you don't talk about just the solution, the product, let's say the app. You just talk about the mechanism. And then on the landing page with the quiz, after the quiz on the sales page, or based on the like what they answered, or with the VSL, can be the beginning or can be after the quiz, you can, especially after the quiz, you can introduce solution. Why? Because basically you are telling them that there is a way to solve that problem, there is a mechanism, there is a way to solve it, and you don't give the exact solution until you know more about them, because then in the quiz you get more information about them, and then you can actually show the solution and sell it. Then something we see working pretty well are like some of the formats that we do, for example the fake podcast, straight interviews, authority figure ads, skit conversations. So there are a lot of formats that we do that are working pretty well now for apps, and these are based on what we see working on organic in general. And I'll show you some examples later. So another thing that is interesting for apps is that they require a lot of buyer personas and a lot of angles. So in general, like we see that before you could find like a very big winner. You can still do it for some niches, but now with Andromeda, we see more and more having like smaller ads that the smaller winners. So instead of getting one winner expends 1 million in 1 month, maybe you get 10 ads, 20 ads, 30 ads that together spend $1 million. And you want to understand well your buyer personas and the angles for them. For example, here's an example for an app where they have the buyer persona of the overthinker, stressed student, overwhelmed mom, and they have like several different type of buyer personas they are talking to. And you basically want to start treating all of them as different, almost as different businesses. As you scale and you basically have a business that makes even like, let's say $1 million, and you have maybe 3 buyer personas that are making like 300K each for you, then you want to start treating them as different businesses and having separate concepts dedicated to them. And you can also use separate landing pages for them. That's something we use a lot in other niches. But for apps, what we see working better is having separate quizzes. And that's why a quiz is much better than just sending to you download the app, because normally you can actually do some marketing, you can actually customize it to different buyer persona. We normally do a sort of creative strategy map, and we do that with all businesses, and with apps we see it's especially important, where you have one buyer persona and you have different awareness levels. For each awareness level, you have different angles like this, and then for each angle, you have different form. So then you start to see, okay, this angle work well. Let's double down on this, and let's just do a lot of ads on this angle. And for this buyer persona, this angle and with this format. But then you see this angle didn't work well. Why didn't this work well? So maybe this is not the right angle. Like this is not big enough, or like we're not good at communicating it. There are better competitors on this. So maybe we don't want to test it anymore. Or maybe we say, actually, I think this is a very good angle. I think the format we used is not the best format. And then you can try to test something else and see what works. What this allows you is to have a very clear map of what works, what doesn't work, and what you still need to test. You can even do a similar map for competitors. I would actually recommend it, and you see what the competitors are going for, and you can try to beat them at their own game, or try to just target different type of personas. As you scale, you normally want to go more unaware, and the more unaware you go, the bigger scale you have. It's not always possible to go completely unaware. For example, in weight loss, going unaware, it's gonna be very difficult, and it makes sense if you really make billions. Otherwise, a lot of times you just want to go problem aware or even solution aware. But in general, we see that we are moving more to the unaware audience as we scale. What happens as you scale is that you start to have something like this. You don't have anymore a map like this. You have several ones like this, similar to what I was saying before, where basically you treat each buyer persona as a different business, basically. And instead of saying, okay, now for this buyer persona, I'll do 10 concepts a week or 10 concepts a month, and I distribute them between these awareness levels or these angles, these formats. Instead, you sort of say, okay, I'll do 10 for this, 10 for this, 10 for this, and 10 for this. And so it's a much higher scale. But it makes sense, because as you scale, you also need to increase your input and do more. So in general, when you do that, you don't need to innovate too much in terms of, okay, let's customize a lot the app for this buyer persona and for this and for this. You can do that, but a lot of times you just have to add new mechanism. So you have a mechanism that is perfect for one buyer persona and another for another buyer persona. So yeah, you can add new features, but what matters the most is making sure that you are explaining them what's the right way to solve their problem, and it's customized to them. And the quiz is very good for that, because you just have to create a couple of sales pages with different explanations based on the main profiles and main buyer personas that you find. And yeah, for example, for Relatio, I think the example here was Relatio. They have something like dopamine detox plan, procrastination triggers test, like anxiety management pathway. So like they have all these things that are different based on the buyer persona and the trigger they use to get you to the quiz and what you answer on the quiz. So basically, you have only one product that can solve different problems, but you're able to market it to different buyer personas. And in general, like, you want people to see your ads, do the quiz, and see the solution and say, oh wow, this will actually help me to become the person I want to be. That's what you are trying to do, right? I'll show you a couple of examples. Unfortunately, I can't show you the examples and the data at the same time of our clients. I'll show you some examples of some ads we did for a couple of app clients. But yeah, here I'll just go through a couple of examples. I'll take some statics first, just because it's a bit easier to show them. So these, I think this is Relatio, the app, and they use here a mechanism-driven ad. And they have dopamine detox angle. And they basically introduce a science-based mechanism, the dopamine this regulation. And they want to basically tie it to everyday symptoms: overthinking, lack of motivation, anxiety, distraction. Then they use a quiz funnel, and they make sure that once you see the sales page after the quiz, the sales page is customized on what you answer, and people say, okay, this app understands. And in general, this market is skeptical, and we see that when you do ads that are very broad, they don't convert well. So you have to understand the buyer persona. So you do that in the ad and with the quiz and the customer sales page. In this case, like basically what they are doing is they are talking about the mechanism. They are not talking about the solution or the app for now. And also that's something that works pretty well. They talk about the real cause and they give you a justification. So it's not lack of discipline, it's not you, it's your dopamine baseline. So it's like, it's not you, it's this. And the mechanism is basically reframing the product from just an app to actually like a custom plan that works for you. This is another example of an ad about the procrastination. And you can see here, this is how the brain of procrastinator functions compared to a high achiever. You see like classic, they scale a lot on TikTok too. So you see these type of ads with just some music and text. So you see like all the things that are common, you see here. And then they say the first step is discovering your unique procrastination type. And yeah, they just talk quickly about the quiz. And then they send you to the quiz. So basically they target problem aware users. And so you have to understand well the awareness level, as we were saying before, where you want to understand the awareness level you're speaking to and sophistication too. In this case, it's they understood it's a problem aware user that procrastinates but doesn't know why. So basically the ad educates on why that happens, the guilt cycles, the trigger loops, and then they basically tell you to do the quiz, because the quiz will reveal you your procrastination type. And then they also talk about the solution, but it's especially like using curiosity to bring you to the quiz. These are some other examples of like this app. I think it's called Leven, and they are scaling a lot on Meta and TikTok. And in this case, you have some ads are pretty different, but something that is common in general is that for apps, we see that some like viral formats, it can be videos, it can be images. Normally videos scale more, but also images that are similar to what you see on organic, and just like for example, in this case, they use the sense of identity. So in this case, it's like discipline, strength, focus, and you see like this type of angles. So don't be a nice guy, be a king. And in general, for this type of ads, they try to leverage more the identity transformation, who they want to be, and not science, not really science. Especially for young audiences, young men that respond well to aspiration and identity, instead of a long mechanism of how that works, the science behind it, and everything else. And these are very similar to what works on organic, and you can just take ideas from organic and try them on paid. So this is a funnel for Coursive. I actually took this one from Funnel of the Week. I highly recommend it if you want to see some funnels. They break down the funnels very well, and instead of having to break it down again, I took all they did, which is a great breakdown. So basically, this is very similar to a lot of apps we work with, and as I can show you an example of one of our clients. I'll show you this. So you see an ad like this, right? You see an ad like this on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Then you go to a quiz page, and you have a quiz page like this on your phone, where you can start to answer questions. Something that you'll notice is that between questions, you'll have social proof. And in this case, 2 questions, then they show this, then you continue. Then main goal, in this case, this basically to help you make more money. So it asks you the income source, work schedule, challenges, and we'll do our best to help you. So you see there is some communication in the middle. Another question, then stability is within reach here. Something is common to you, like in some quizzes you'll see that here it looks like they say the actual questions. Sometimes you have maybe the bar, but is more closer to the end than what it actually is. And same for VSL videos. It goes faster and then actually either restarts or it starts to go slower. And that allows you to basically think that you are closer to the end and you just have a couple of questions or a couple of seconds to watch, and then actually there is more, but like that allows these companies to retain you for more time. Okay, so here you see something like this, and I mean here they don't have like a lot of social proof, but normally in the quiz you're gonna see a lot of social proof. In this case, yeah, they also ask you about the time you can invest on this, and then they ask you the email. With our clients, something common to is to use in the quiz a lot of social proof. So you have several parts between a question and the other where you show a lot of people have been able to achieve this goal with this app, and you can show like some testimonial quotes and also like a short video in the middle between one question and the other, and that allows you to just get people and also ideally people similar to their situation. So closer to the end, you show some people that are more similar to them and achieve their end goal. And this in the quiz between one question and the other helps to convert people better. Here they ask about email, and then yeah, your growth challenge is ready. Yeah, and then you go to the sales page. The sales page is customized for each buyer persona. At the beginning, if you have a smaller app, you probably have just a couple of options for the sales page, and then as you scale so much, you start to have more and more different sales pages. And anyway, like those are very similar, so there are just a couple of customization. Normally you have a timer like this, 10 minutes or something like this for the discount, so you basically have urgency. The urgency makes sense for them. You can see here like those scores, and then it's very common to have something like this. So you see here it's nothing, right? And then actually, like in this case, it's not that much. 6, 19, 39. A lot of times you can see this like very low because it's per day, but then it's actually like three months minimum. And so basically you have to spend at least $50, $100, something like that. So it's very common they try to make you spend more. Also, it's common to have like the free trial, and then they charge you just after the free trial, but they charge you for a year or for 3 months or something like that. Your money back guarantee is normally pretty important. Also like to push them to actually use the app, because maybe you say, okay, the money back guarantee is 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, but you can connect it to the fact that you have to use it for that time. Yeah, then in checkout. And something very interesting here is the upsells too. So you have all these upsells, and here is $44 more, upsell 2, post-purchase screen. Here, okay, you don't have another upsell here, but you can see it's already 2 upsells here. Misconception about this is that you maybe think that you have to have most people buying the upsells. It doesn't have to be like that. So it depends on the app you have and the product. So you have 2 main options. You either have some upsells with normal prices, maybe up to $100, and a decent percentage of people will buy it, and that increases your AOV. And even if just 10% of people buy it, or you can have even like very expensive upsells, and a very small percentage of people will buy, but that will still increase the AOV a lot. Normally you see normally you can have like an upsell and downsell option. So like one is a bit more expensive, like $100 or something like this. Then you have a downsell that is less expensive. So you can experiment with that. Something to consider is that most apps in the space that are actually scaling to 8 figures or more, they are profitable because they have a very high LTV and a lot of times a very high AOV too, so they can reinvest that money as soon as they get it. So you should have a lifetime value of $100 or more. That's very important because that will allow you to put more money on it. You can we can see CPAs also $10, $15, for example, for a free trial with credit card, or even a subscription of $20. That's possible. Normally, as you scale to 100K a month on Meta, 500K a month, 1 million a month, that starts to become more difficult. And so that's why you should try to work at the same time on improving your LTV. Then you can have different funnels, as mentioned before. Sometimes you can't have a quiz funnel with a purchase just because you have to bring people in the app, and then some people will buy later, but it doesn't make sense to push people to buy at the beginning for some apps. But the ones that we see scaling the most, scaling very fast without funding, just bootstrap, those are normally some apps where they have either the option to buy something in the beginning or a free trial and then they charge. So quiz funnel is the funnel where we see working the best right now. So like the apps we have, they're spending $1 million a month or more. They all have a quiz. And actually we have one exception, but besides that, they all have a quiz funnel. And the quiz also allows you to make sure you can use a unique mechanism and differentiate from others. And so when they see the sales page, they say, okay, this is the perfect solution for me. And that's why they buy from you, even though it's more expensive maybe than other solutions. Then using the upsells is very important. And we see sometimes you can scale, but if you add some upsells, then you can actually scale. So that happens to some clients, they couldn't scale, and then they started to see how to add upsells, what to do to increase the LTV and the average order value, and that allowed them to actually scale. Then for the LTV, ideally use the 180 days guarantee or something like that everywhere. You just try to push people to not asking for the guarantee as they start if they don't like something, but to actually practice, especially for some type of apps where they have to use it, to actually use it and mention how it's important that they use it for a long time and then they'll see the results. So you try to have that communication so people actually get better results and they are happier and they talk better about your app. In terms of creative strategy, we see one thing is very important is differentiating from competitors. And when the business doesn't have a unique mechanism, then we try to help them to create this unique mechanism and talk about that instead of the features, because that's why people buy from you and buy from a meta ad instead of just searching another app. Then the psychology, as I was saying before, it's very important, and we have to understand the psychology behind why people buy and speaking exactly to them. Then understanding also the identities of people, how they see themselves, and especially for apps, we see for a lot of apps, just understanding that and how they want to be, how they want to be perceived, and how they want to become. Use that, and then you use that in your ads. And then also for a lot of ads, you can understand the angle, you can understand the buyer persona and everything. But if you use a format that feels like an ad, normally it won't work, or it won't work as well as it could. So you want to use some formats that are similar to what people see on organic, what just makes sense for them, what actually speaks to them. And as I said, high LTV, that's very important. So you can pay higher CPA than competitors, and that will help you to make will make everything easier for you. Then we often test for a lot of our clients 5-10 concepts a week for the app and per buyer persona, let's say, and with 3 to 5 hooks each. And then we increase volume as we scale. So it depends. We normally don't do crazy volume. So maybe for some clients, it can be up 10 concepts a week, nothing crazy. And then maybe we add some iterations or other things. But there are two ways to scale. So normally as you scale, you see a correlation between finding winning ads and just scaling your business, scaling your app. What you want to do is do more ads, better ads, and also diverse ads, like diverse creative. So oftentimes just doing more is not enough, because you need you also need different type of buyer personas to target. But at the end of the day, the goal you have is to find more winning ads. So, and for winning ads, I mean ads actually take most of the spend and become the highest spending ad. How you do that? It depends. So ideally you want to understand what's your bottleneck to find more real winning ads. It can be that you are not doing enough ads, or it can be that the win rate is pretty low, or that you're only targeting the same audiences and you need to expand to other audiences. So normally, if you have a very low win rate, you want to prove that first, and you want to try to have a slightly better win rate. So it's not going to be super high when you test a lot of ads and you're spending $1 million a month, while when you spend less, it should be higher. While if your win rate is fine, you just want to do more ads and continue to explore new audiences. And then you just want to scale by, also like something that you'll see is some apps just do maybe those 10, 30, 50 concepts a month that are high quality, and that's more similar to our method. You also have some apps that scale a lot with just thousands of AI ads. That can also work, but you have to be very good at doing very high quality ads, and it's difficult to keep the quality high. At the end of the day, whatever works, it's fine. And we just focus more on quality because we see those ads are more stable, they can scale more, and it's just like we found a system to make them work. But we also see there are some businesses that just go on the quantity and they are able to make it work too. And in general, then we continue to scale with different buyer personas, different angles, and different formats. So I'll show you a couple of examples, just for seconds, that you can see in general, like from the other videos, the stuff we do. I'll show you a couple of examples for some of the of our clients and type of ads we see working and we are doubling down on. For example, the podcast ads, street interviews, some skit conversations. I'll show you a couple of examples.
They say it takes about 800 hours to learn Spanish, but there are methods to cut down to like 135.
Okay, so like those free language apps.
Apps with flashcards.
They have stuff like this, like podcast clips. These are working super well for us.
Hey, just make a wish. I wish to speak French the fastest way possible. Oh, you should try to learn the hack, man.
So you have stuff like this, just skit conversations.
This is David. He's a successful professional who thinks he knows his net worth.
I've been tracking it for years. It's about $580,000.
He's off by $92,000 and missing out on an easy additional $2,000. That's because...
So here you have these type of formats also common and organic, like these skits where basically the person thinks they're doing everything right and they're Mr. Perfect, and then actually they're doing everything wrong. So we are educating on that and like in a funny way, and then presenting the app.
Canva. For real, I mean, why are you still using that?
So you have like stuff like this too, where it's podcast clip, but just more focused on the competitors and why we're better than competitors.
This is Sarah. She's a successful entrepreneur who knows how hard.
Formats like this, I mean, this is similar to that skit, but you have someone on the laptop, and so this we have similar formats also, like as expert ads that are talking to someone on a call.
8 years of crossword puzzles gives you the same cognitive boost as just 3 months of language learning. The brain needs active language.
This is similar to the podcast ads, but in this case, it's an authority figure in a podcast setup. So we just put something here, like mentioning who this person is, like what's their role, and why they are an expert. And we see that working pretty well too. We do also spokesperson format. I don't have an example here, but that is working pretty well, where you have like someone like an expert that is talking in a room about something.
Hey Chris, I saw your request, workers' comp.
So like here you have stuff like this, where just like on a call.
Hi, quick question. Do you invest?
Yes, I do.
How do you deal with nowadays market fluctuations? Like, do you have a financial advisor?
Or like street interviews like this.
Want to become bilingual in 3 weeks? Here's how. Memorizing words, quizzes, and flashcards.
Or you have some formats like this are more simple, but also similar to what works on organic. I mean, even like some didn't add them as examples, but even stuff like this works well, like with just the music and no voice, like without any voice, just music here, and the video that works pretty well too, similar to what is seen on TikTok. And in general now, to scale to $5 million a month with a couple of our clients, main focus is just continue to find new winners every month like ideally even more, but at least like new winners every month, and doubling down on what works. At the same time, we want to expand to different buyer personas, different angles, different formats, because at a certain point you can do ads better, but you're just getting most of the audience. You just have to get to a bigger audience or like different audience. Then just improving the creatives process, the landing page. Sometimes we send to a landing page and then to a quiz, sometimes directly to a quiz. So improving that and the conversion rate between the landing and the quiz, or just between the quiz and the sales page, improving the sales page, the upsells, and also the congruence between the creatives and all of these, because they have to be similar, they have to be customized per buyer persona. The good thing is with the quiz, you don't really need to do that much, because you can just send to the quiz, and then the quiz allows you to have a personalized sales page. You just want to have different variables of sales pages based on what they answer. Yeah, just focusing on increasing the conversion rate, the average order value, the LTV is what we see. It helps to then have also higher, to allow you to get a higher CPA on Meta and still be profitable. And on the other side, you just work on Meta to be able to spend more by keeping the same KPIs and the same CPA. Then unique mechanism is also important to add new unique mechanisms, because one can get saturated, or because you are expanding to different buyer personas and you have to have new unique mechanisms for them, or also like for people in different awareness levels. And that's to be the generic one for the ads, but also the one that you use in the sales page. And then ideally, we try to add some barriers to entry. I mean, that's not really on us, it's more on the business side, but like some unique positioning that is more difficult to replicate, just improving the app so it's better than competitors, and the competitors can really come in and do a similar app, and just working also with influencers, for example, authority figures, so you just get more recognized and you have more social proof, or just other things that can add barriers to entry. So I think I hope that was helpful and you got some insights from this. If you have any questions, feel free to add a comment here, or even better, like send me a message on X, and I'll take a look, and if it's interesting, I'll just do another content based on that too. And if you have an app or any other business that is spending on Meta and you spend more than 50K a month, then I have a link in the description. You can book a call with me, and yeah, hope that was valuable. I'll see you in the next video.